Hello guys, on this video I'm going to show you how you're going to make some of these exercises. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Printing message that says hello world. So we're going here, we are going to go to Edublocks, and here we are going to pick Python 3. We are going to go to statements and we're going to print. Now we are going to run it. And that's the exercise number 1. Okay, now what you're going to grab of this exercise is the code that you can find it here by clicking blocks. Okay, if you click blocks, it's going to show you the code so you can be able to here add a hash sign, and you can add what exercise is, and then you can take a screenshot or you can take a picture. Okay, now let's go to a new exercise. Okay, it's telling to us bring the values for variables using data types int, float, str, and bool. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to select Python. I'm going to wait a little bit. Okay, if it's not working, we only refresh the page so we can select. And now I'm going to add 4 variables as is asking to me the exercise. So I'm going to add 4 variables: A, B, C, and D. Now that I have my 4 variables, it's asking to me that we need to use 4 data types. Okay, int, float, str, and bool. Okay, so we're going to go here and I'm going to start adding the different data types. Okay, int, float, str, and now I'm going to add bool. Now is the last part of the exercise is telling to me to print the values. Okay, that is the last action that we are going to make on this exercise. So I'm going to go here to the browser, and now I'm going to grab here the print variable, and I'm going to start adding the different variables. Okay, so I'm going to add another print variable. I need one more, so I'm going to add it here. There we have it. Now I'm going to add here each variable that we already declared here at the top. Okay, now that we have this, we can run. And we can see it's working correctly. And we can now take a screenshot of our code without forgetting to grab the exercise. Okay, so we go here, I'm going to make here one space. I'm going to add the hash line, and now I'm going to add here the exercise. Okay. Now I'm going to try another exercise. Let's try with the division. Okay. Okay. The division on Python, if we remember, on Python, the division can be int or float. Okay. That is the difference between the sum, the subtraction, the multiplication. The division is the only one that the sign, we need to add double sign if we want to have an int result, and if we want a float result, we need to add only one division sign. So for that, we're going to go here. I'm going to create a variable a and a variable b. Now, having my two variables, now I need a variable that is going to carry my result, that is going to be c. Okay, having a and b, now I can add values to each variable. Over here, because on the exercise it's not telling to us to have it's not asking to us what is going to be the result, if the result needs to be integer or needs to be float. We're going to leave it float. Okay, by default the division on Python is float. Okay, so we are going to say, we're going to go here, math, and I'm going to grab here a, and I'm going to make the division with b. Okay, now you can write here the variable or you can drag it. Okay, it's the way that you feel more comfortable, okay, to work. Now that we have our division, the same you can apply if you're making a sum, if you're making a subtraction, if we are making a mod, or if we are making a multiplication. Okay, now with that division, the one that we're making here, the final step that we're missing is to print the result. So we're going to go here and we are going to print this result. Okay, now we are going to run it, and it's going to display to us the result of this division that we have here. So we change here to blocks, okay, so we can see the Python call, and here we take the screenshot of the procedure that we have. Okay, now let's go to another type of division. Okay, here is telling to us make a division with two int values and print an int result. Okay, that means needs to be an integer division. Okay, so let's go over here and let's move. Let's select Python 3. I'm going to create my two variables. In this case, we need to add the two variables are going to be integer, okay? So for example, here and here, and if I add here now the variable that is going to hold the result. Now that I have here the variable that is going to hold the result, I'm going to drag it and I'm going to write, okay? I'm going to write the name of the variables that I'm going to make the math division, okay? Because it's asking to us to have an int result, I need to add double division sign, okay? There, you are going to have here you are going to have over here your math operation, okay, your division. So here I'm going to go, and the final step is to print the result of the variable. And there we have it. The final step. Now we need to test so we can check that our work is doing good. Great. Now we know that the code that we make here is working. We can copy. We can take the screenshot here of the code that we already make, okay? Now, let's move on and let's make the following formula, okay? If you see here, it's asking to us c is going to be equal to square root of a powered by 2 plus b powered by 2. So I'm going to go here. We are going to make a new Python tree. I'm going to create the variables. A and B. And now I'm going to declare the variable C. Now that I have my variable C, I can go here and I can search my math square root, okay? And here we can find it. Now that we have our math square root, we can say here that we want to make a math operation, a sum. So we're going to go here to math, and I'm going to click here, the sum. I'm going to leave it as sum, because if you can see over here, we are going to sum these two variables, okay? But I need to power these variables by 2. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to search for math.poll. So over here, we are going to power that variable by 2. For example, a comma 2. Now I'm going to grab it again, the math.poll, and I'm going to say b comma 2. So if I add here 4 and here 5, now the final step is to print the result that is going to give us this formula. So I'm going to print, and I'm going to select the variable over here. Now that we have it, we can run it. Okay, it's telling to us that math is not defined. Okay, good. So we are going to go here to import, and we are going to import math. Now I'm going to run this. And there we have the result of our math operation. In this case, the formula that we made. Over here, once we finish, we're going to click here, and you're going to see the code that is the result of the blocks that we have been making. Okay, you take a screenshot, and then of your work. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, if you see over here, it's telling to us we are going to make two int variables, and we are going to apply this formula. Okay, so we are going to start by making these two variables. So I'm going to click here, going to select Python 3. I'm going to go to variables, and we're going to review again. Okay, we are going to need 3 variables. Okay, so I'm going to start adding the 3 variables that we need. Over here, A, B, and C. I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Now that we have it, I'm going to start adding values to each one of them. And over here, I'm going to go to math, and I'm going to drag this one. And I'm going to select the mod. Okay, once I have selected percent, that is going to be the mod. This is the mod on Python 3. This is the mod. Okay, we are going to add A, and then we're going to add B. Having that, we're going to make the final step that is going to print the result that we're having. So I'm going to click here, print, and I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to print it. Now, here we can see the code, but we need to run it. And we are going to see 0. It's working. So we are going to click here, exit. And don't forget to of your code. Okay. Now, let's move to another one. Okay. Let's try, before we try this one, we are going to make the one that is telling that Maria has read 64 pages. Okay, has to read Maria has to read 64 pages of her Spanish book. She has only read 3/4. How many pages has Maria read? How many pages is left to read? Print the 2 results. Okay, let's try with this one that is a little bit of thinking and complex. Okay, We already know the pages, okay? But we need the pages that you already read and the pages that are left. Okay, we know you already that there are 64 pages. Okay, now he only has read 3/4 of that 64 pages. So we're going to apply this. We are going to multiply this 64 by 3/4. So here I'm going to open parentheses. Let me make it bigger so you can see it better. Okay, I'm going to call here pages. Then I'm going to multiply this by 3. Okay, I'm going to multiply this by 3. I'm going to close the parentheses. Okay, and because we are talking about int values, we are going to need to make an int division. So I'm going to add double sign to make the int division, and it's telling to us 3/4. So there we have it. Now that we have the pages that you already read and the amount of pages that they have, now with pages, let me use here I'm going to click here, I'm going to drag it, and here we are going to drag first the pages, and then I'm going to drag the pages that we have left. Okay, here I'm going to make a subtraction. The final step that we need to do over here is to print both values, the pages that you already read and the pages you already left. He has left. Okay, so for that I'm going here, print the pages you already read, and now I'm going to print the pages that she had read, well, that she had left, sorry, that she already have left over here. Okay, and that's the exercise. So let's run it to see the results. Okay, telling to us, oh, okay, this is a reserved word. That is why we cannot use it. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable named pages left here, and I'm going to make the subtraction. And here I'm going to call the pages, and I'm going to subtract that from the pages she already read over here. Okay. Now I'm going to print the pages left. Okay. Now if we run this, you are going to see 48 and she's missing 16 pages. Okay, and that's the exercise. Over here, don't forget you're going to find the code. Okay, so let's continue with the next exercise. Okay, over here you are going to see that it's telling to us to pass Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, we have here this formula, so we are going to enter the Fahrenheit, but here is an important clue. We are going to give the value to the variable. Okay, you're not going to input that value. So let's go here and I'm going to start by creating my two variables. Okay, I need F and I'm going to need C. Okay, we are going to pass Fahrenheit to Celsius. So over here I'm going to add the value of 32, and here I'm going to start making the formula. Okay, here if we can see we need to subtract from the Fahrenheit 32 degrees. So I'm going to start by opening a first parenthesis, then I'm going to open again a next parenthesis, and here I'm going to go F minus 32. I'm going to close one parenthesis, and now I'm going to multiply that by 5. I'm going to multiply the result by 5. Now I'm going to close the parenthesis, and I'm going to divide this by 9. And here is our formula. Here we have our formula. Now that you have the formula made, over here we are going to go to statements and we're going to print the result. We're going to go here and we're going to print the result that we have on C. So we can run our exercise, and there we have it, our result. Okay, here you can find the code, and that's the exercise by itself. Now here is telling to us that we need to pass Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, here we are going to do the opposite of this exercise. Okay, so we are going to apply this formula the same way. So let me change here. We are going to start from the beginning, and I'm going to start creating our variables for Celsius and for Fahrenheit. Okay, and we're going to pass Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, sorry, Celsius to Fahrenheit. So over here we're going to start applying our formula. Okay, so Our formula is that we are going to multiply Celsius times 9 and we're going to divide it by 5. So let's start here. We are going to open parentheses. Let me make it bigger so you can see it better. Okay, here I'm going to open parentheses. I'm going to open parentheses again, and I'm going to call the variable c. Then I'm going to multiply that. I'm going to multiply that by 9. I'm going to close the parentheses, and then I'm going to divide that by 5. And I'm going to close that parenthesis, the final parenthesis, and then the last step I need to do is to sum 32 degrees. So over here, I'm going to add the plus sign, and I'm going to sum 32 degrees to this one. So if I add here 32, run it, you're not going to be able to see nothing. The reason is because we don't have an output. So let's go here and make the final step. We are going to add an output here. And I'm going to add here the variable f. So here I'm going to click for the variable f, that is the one that is going to hold my result. And here we have it. That is our result. And here you can find your code. Okay, that's the exercise. Now, here is telling to us that we are going to use 4 integer variables, okay? And that we're going to find the max. So for that, of those values. So for that, let's start doing it on a very simple way, okay? I'm going to add A, B, C, and D. Okay, I have already my 4 variables, okay? My 4 numbers. Now, I will need 2 variables that I'm going to hold max 1 and max 2. The final variable is going to be max final. So here, I'm going to drag max final and one more time. Okay, there we have. I'm going to select here max 1, max 2. Let me make it a little bit bigger. You can see all the procedure here. Okay, so here I'm going to start adding numbers. Okay, you can add any number that you want here. And now over here I'm going to call the max function, and I'm going to send the arguments of A and B on max 1, and I'm going to store the values of C and D on max 2. What it's going to do here, max is going to return to us the max value of these 2 variables. In this case, the 2 arguments that we're sending here, that in this case is A and B, is going to return that value, the max, and we're going to store that value on a variable. Okay, once we store that value, we need another variable to store the max number of the other two variables that we have. So we make max2 to handle that bar. We call the max function. We send the two arguments here so we can get the max number and keep that number stored on the variable max2. Okay, now on the max final, I'm going to call max and I'm going to send the two variables that are storing the max numbers, max1 and max2. Okay. The final step that I need to do is to print the result. So I'm going to print, and I'm going to print the variable that is max final. I'm going to run it. And there we have it. The max number is 8. There it is 8. Okay. Now we are going to make the min. We are going to use the min function. Okay. The min function. Over here, we're going to select Python 3. The same is asking to us for 4 variables, so we are going to start declaring each one of them. We're going to declare each one of them. And I'm going to declare min 1 and min 2. And the last variable that we're going to declare is min final. That is going to store the final min value. Okay, here I'm going to start adding values. One. Okay, so we're going to call here the min function. So I'm going to add here min, and I'm going to send the two arguments that is going to ask me the min function. And over here, I'm going to use the same min function, and I'm going to send the arguments that I need. I send C and D on min2, and I'm going to send A and B on the min1. And the final step is to send min1 and min2 on the min function that we're going to call on the min final. Okay. The final step that we're going to do is to go to statements, find the print for variable, and we're going to go to variables. We're going to click here, and we're going to click min final. Now I'm going to run my exercise. And you're going to see the main value that the 4 variables have. Which one is the main value? Okay. Now, over here, Marcos has the grades of his 4 partials and wants to know if he passed the school year. The result should be in int, okay? And we need to print the result. So we're going to enter 4 partials. So let me raise here. And I'm going to add here partial 1, partial 2, partial 3, partial. Okay. Now over here I'm going to add grades to each one of them, each quarter. Now that I have added the grades, I'm going to make the sum of all of them. So I'm going to add here the result. Over here, I'm going to open parentheses and I'm going to write partial 1 plus partial 2 plus partial 4, 3, and partial 4. Okay, having all the partials, now I can divide this by double sign because they were asking to us that the result is going to be int. We are going to divide it by 4. Okay, now this we're going to make the final step, that is printing the variable, in this case the result. So we are going to click here and we are going to run it. And there we have it. There we have it. Okay, now let's go to the next one. A worker wants to know how much they will pay him if he works 8 hours and is paid 45 lempiras an hour. Print the result. Okay, so we're going to go here. We're going to refresh our workspace. And I'm going to start adding hours worked. And I'm going to add another variable that is going to pay per hour. Now, here I'm going to add another variable that is going to be pay. Okay, here we're going to add 45 and it's telling to us that he worked 8 hours. So we're going to go here in the hours that he worked on 35. sorry, on 8. And over here, the pay per hour is going to be 45. Now we can add a math function here, and I can multiply the hours and the pay per hour. Now, here's something that we need to know. For example, sometimes it's not going to let us move this, so we can drag it out, so we can be able to drag it in. And over here, another important detail is that this is money, so it's going to be float. So I need to add the decimal that is going to have, okay? Now that I have here my result, I need to print that result, okay? So I'm going to go here, I'm going to print, and I'm going to drag pay. Now I'm going to run it. And there we have it. Okay. And the last one, Manuel went to the bed and spends 450 with 45 cents. And now Manuel needs to know how much is the value of 10% of what he spent. Okay. So his sister can return to him, and we're going to print that result. So over here, we are going to click here. And we are going to go here, create variables. And we already have an amount. Okay. That is 445. Okay. Now we need to know the 10% of that. So for that, we're going to create a variable called spend. And here, we are going to multiply the amount by 0.10. Now we are going to print the variable as final step. And there we have it. Now we can run it. $45. Dot whole 45. That's the 10%. And the final one that I was missing is this one. You are going to make two variables and you're going to print the remainder using the following formulas, okay? So over here, I'm going to create the variables A I'm going to create the variable B. Before I start creating C, and I'm going to create C. And the last one is the variable D. Okay. Now this ones, I'm going to add values to A and B, and I'm going to make the remainder with these two variables, applying the function that on C we are going to use the variable A, and on D we are going to use the variable B. We're going to change the sign to remainder, okay, to mod, so we can get the remainder. And here we are going to add 2 and 2. The final step is to print the values of C and D. Okay, having this, I can run this. And here we have it. That are our results. Well, that's all. I hope you enjoy it. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye.